Welcome back, guys. This is Archie, and I am going to start a new build. And what we have right here is I'm going to be unboxing the new StewMac Tele, and this is the Wilkinson? Yeah, this is the Wilkinson one with all of the better hardware and electronics, as well as this is also the vintage version of the Tele. So you can get a modern T or a vintage T. This is the vintage. And I'm looking forward to it. And I also ordered some paint, so I think that's going to be in here. So here we go. All right, so let's get into the unboxing, shall we? Nice hefty package. Watch the man struggle with the box. Always great. Oh, hey, check that out. Lipstick. Oh, cool. They threw in a little treat. That is neat. Okay. Here is my paint. Okay. So this is vintage white. One of the paints that I ordered. And vintage amber. Yeah. I'll explain what I'm gonna do with all that later, but for now, we're gonna set this up out of the way. Okay. Here's our actual kit box. Let's get the big box out of here. Woo! Okay, that was way too loud. All right. This is cool. Black box. You gotta like a black box. All right, and where is our tape? We got some tapeage here. Tapeage here. Tape. And over here. Ooh. Ooh. I'm gonna cut the tape on the back. Okay. Very well packaged. This is a nice little piece of foam here. This might come in handy for finishing sometime. Okay. So far, really like the presentation. They actually got like a molded thing in here instead of just all the styrofoam stuff you usually get in less expensive kits. This is supposed to be a really nice kit. Looks like everything on it is more than I've ever paid for a guitar kit. But I typically buy a lot of the separate things and replace it. And on this kit, I'm going to do everything as to spec. I'm just going to finish it a little bit differently. Okay. This neck, this looks pretty nice. See, they even put the little Wilkinson situation right on there. Right out of the gate, there's a tiny little bit of fret bite. Which I expect generally. A little bit of finishing on the frets there. These look to be pretty narrow frets. They're definitely not jumbo. I'd have to figure out exactly what they are. I'd have to measure them, but they're definitely a little bit thinner frets. They're smaller for sure. And the nut is not pre-slotted, which is not an issue because that lets me actually dial it in exactly how I want. Interestingly enough, Truss Rod Adjustment is right here at the bottom of the neck, just like a vintage Tele. So you can see Truss Rod Adjustment here and nut up at the top. But you know what? Skunk stripe is cool, super cool, just like a vintage Tele. And I gotta say, once I sand it up a little bit, just a little bit, this is pretty well finished sanded. And I like the shape, actually. I don't think I'm going to change that. I like the headstock shape. It's pretty cool. All right. So there's a headstock. Let's just set this here for a minute. All right. Whew. One of the other things that made me think this kit's going to be a little nicer than normal kits is this is actually an alder body. I like that. I do like alder on Teles. Very nice. Nice and light, and yet has a lot of the characteristics that you want. Okay. And let's see here. They wrapped the pick guard. Let's just take that off. And take a look at this body, also stamped with Wilkinson. Ooh, you know what? No way. Is this one piece? There's a couple of little filler bits I can see here and there. Altogether, this alder looks pretty nice, and you know what? Yep, there's definitely some filler parts, some little bits where they put filler in it, but you know, I gotta give them credit. This, I think, is... Every time I think it's one piece, I look and I see this little seam here. But you can't even tell. There's kind of a thing on the very end where you can see the grain doesn't match up right in the middle there, which makes me think that it's two pieces. But it looks like they cut the same piece. Like this was the same piece of wood and they just cut. Because this grain on the back is totally matched up on the back and the front. It's totally. But there is a line on the side. But altogether, the weight feels just about right. Alder gives you some nice and some lightness, but it's still nice and solid. It's a durable wood. It's a really good wood for guitars because you get a decent amount of stability out of alder. It's plentiful, so there's not like a huge shortage on it. But the nice thing is it's more of hardwood than a lot of the inexpensive woods that you see. So a lot of people get, you know, basswood or poplar, very plentiful, inexpensive woods, but they're really soft. It's also the problem with pine. You know, for all those old no casters, you know, really old Teles, and some people really like those pine casters, but those pine, too soft. It'll take dents like crazy. So the body, I'm pretty happy. That looks pretty sweet. That is a darn good body. It's not that far off so far. I mean, we'll check out all the measurements and everything, but the quality is definitely up there. This is way better so far than your typical kits. All right. This is this like, should I leave it in here? This is like the hardware box. Okay, for now we're gonna leave it in here. Looks like it's meant to be there. Screws and end buttons, ferrules. Fun. Yep, so we got the vintage kit. So here's our vintage tuners. If I can even hold that, right? There's our vintage style tuners. Now they are the vintage style, but they are super shiny, new looking chrome. So I will go through some aging. Oh, you know what? I didn't show you the pick guard. It said it was an actual like. Oh yeah, it is. So here's your black guard, and it does probably still have the film on it. Yeah. So I'll take that off, but. Very cool, black guard, and it is rounded. It is one piece black. Super cool. Let's see what that'll look like here. Why is this not? There we go. So that's probably about what it'll be. That's pretty sweet. All right. Neck plate and screws. Pick up. Hey. Actually nice. It's the push, it's got push wiring on it. Push pull. And another pickup and the bridge. We should open all this stuff out here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Yeah, this is really unexciting. Those are just screws, ferrules, and the buttons. Probably the least exciting part of the whole guitar. But this is a little more exciting. Let's check out our pickups here. What do we got? What do we got? I will keep these bags and put them back in a second. Yep. Got your screws and your springs. Standard stuff. Ooh. Yep, and here's your Wilkinson neck pickup. Cool. Super cool. I like the wiring. That obviously will live in there. That is sweet. Here, let's pretend. Pretend. Oh, cool. Actually screwed holes a little bit deeper in there for your pickup screws, which is nice. So if it's not a deep enough cavity, sometimes you gotta screw that. So anyway, that's gonna be there. That's your neck pickup. And is this actually a film, or do they have that logo just on the film? I gotta know this. Is it on the film or on the pickup? Okay. Oh yeah, that's actually like etched. That name is actually etched into the pickup, which is a little bit annoying. I wanted to take it off. That's gonna be harder than I thought. That's okay. We'll leave it for now. And here's gonna be the bridge and the bridge pickup. Oh, and they've got like a, okay. This is actually like sealed here. Got a lot of extra fancy little wrapping on here. That's pretty cool. Wilkinson Bridge. I actually just used one of these to upgrade another kit that I was working on. It's a really It's a good cost-effective bridge, and it's the style that I like for Teles. It's the ashtray, and this actually comes with the compensated saddles, which is nice. So that really helps your intonation. You get the 6 holes where your strings go down through, but if you really wanted to, there's holes on the back, so you could actually you could mount the strings through the back of the bridge. Typically, I like to, have the ferrules and have the through. So, very cool. Wilkinson Bridge. That will obviously go right here. And here is our bridge pickup. Nice. Again, I like the wire quality here. I actually really like, you can see this, I like how this pickup is wound. I tend to really like that a lot more than just the little thin black kind of waxy paper looking plastic stuff you see. This is cool. They definitely planned this for a vintage vibe, and ooh, look at the plate. Pretty slick. I like this. You know what, Wilkinson, I'll give you credit. I think I might leave your logos on here. So that's always fun. You gotta put these on. Magnets go. Okay. So this will go in here. And just for fun, let's set it in there. Yeah, it's going to be something like that, but it'll obviously be raised when we put all the screws and stuff in. That is cool. Here's something I was looking forward to. Part of this kit really helps out people who maybe haven't done kits before, although it would be kind of nice to, on your first kit, I don't know if I would recommend getting this more expensive kit. If you have the money and you'd like to, it's totally up to you. But one of the nice things, if you do decide to upgrade to this kit, obviously you're going to have a nicer guitar when you're totally done, because this thing is built already. I can tell you the quality of the parts and it's just better. But this is your control plate, and this Tele control plate actually comes pre-wired. Check that out. And it's you may not be able to tell without looking at a diagram or a configuration, but this is actually already wired. I can see from how it was done to a vintage spec wiring diagram. So that's pretty cool. I like the consistency. The fact they said this is a vintage kit. This is made to be like a 50s blackguard. And here is a, pre-wired in vintage wiring setup. So pretty cool. Again, these are high quality wires. The only one that's like, just a normal wire is your ground. So ground to the bridge. Everything else is the nice push-pull wire, which is fantastic. I love that stuff. Again, this is all really nice and shiny, brand new, and I may have to do some tarnishing on this stuff, because you know what though, it's so darn nice. It's making me have second thoughts. Okay, so this guy is going to eventually go here. I'm not going to really put things in place, but that's generally where it's going to go. Comes with some strings, which is not what I'm going to use on it, but I like having these around. They're good for testing your electronics. So the nice thing about having this pre-wired is basically you're going to wire these pickups in to this, and then you're wiring in your jack to this. So when you get to it, it's nice that you don't have to actually go through and wire the pots and the switch, because that's honestly like one of the most annoying parts. If you're not a big fan of soldering, I do it because I have to. Here's our jack, and cool. Yep, it is the vintage style jack. Input jack. And later when I have a cable sitting around, I'll let you know how the jack feels when you put a cable in, because that's a big deal. Looks pretty good. Interesting. Cool. Super cool. All right. That's pretty much it for this stuff. Everything else is just screws in here. So let's see if this little box comes out, because there's probably something else in here. Can he get it out? Nope. That's it. Very cool. All right, I'm gonna stick the hardware back in its place. It's nice to have this little box for when you're working on the kit. Okay, so let's check the fit on here. Number on here is 306. And what would you have it? Matched up with the neck, 306. Very nice. And hold your breath, fit. Fit is pretty darn good. Yeah. You know what? Just made me think about it. Yep, so just a tiny bit of play, which is good. You can see there's actually, they routed this knowing that you were gonna have the truss rod adjustment there. Cool. That looks good. Maybe it's in here somewhere and I just missed it. But the nut is not slotted, and it said that it came with a tusk nut. The tusk or graphite or something. It's supposed to be a good nut. Oh, you know what? There it is. Graphtec. That's what I was just saying. Graphtec or tusk. One of those guys. And there's our nut. Oh, you know what? It looks like it's already. It already looks like the right size. Cool. Cool. All right. So that's that. Now, here's the plan. Here's what I want to do. So, got some wood filler. Good stuff. Gonna make sure that we fill all the, if there's any little bits in this body that need to be filled. The sanding is already pretty darn good. A lot of the times on kits, you have a good messy bit in here and here. And you know what? There is a little bit that does need to be cleaned up in these bits here. But all together, it feels pretty smooth, which is what I really want for painting. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So what I'm going to do with this guy is I'm going to take and I want to make it look actually more vintage. So once I do the wood filler, clean it up, then I'm going to put some dark stain on this like I used before. It's sort of a walnut, so it's really going to darken this alder up. It'll be nice and deep on this guy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint some coats of nitro black on it. And when I'm done with the coats of nitro black, I'm going to use this vintage white. And this is color tone. This is the stuff I got from StewMac. You can get other brands. I also have Mohawk. You can get other brands from things like Amazon and other suppliers, but I was already getting this from StewMac, so I just threw the can of paint I wanted in there with it. Once I put the coats of black on here, I am then going to put vintage white. So then once I have enough coats of that on, I'm going to start wearing it off in different places, similar to what I did with the Strat. Once I wear off some of those places and I'm happy with kind of that aging look on this guy, I'm going to take my neck here and I'm going to use, actually, first things first, I'm gonna make some marks right along where these frets are. One of the things on vintage guitars you see a lot is that, and you'll see it on Fender Custom Shop guitars too. They'll have some dark right around the frets, where it looks like the frets kind of start to bleed into the wood a little bit. And that aging, I really like that look of that. I think otherwise I'm going to keep the fretboard pretty clean. I'm not going to try and make it look too beat up. This is a pretty darn nice piece of maple. And if you care about these kind of things, I tend to think it's pretty cool. This is one piece. This neck is one piece, and they did the skunk tail. It's not a separate fretboard that they've laid on top of the neck. It's one piece, which is cool. I like it. Anyway, I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to age it kind of right around the frets. And then I'm going to hit it with this vintage amber. And this should give it more of that warmed up tone. And I think that's going to look really cool, having a warmed up neck. Looks all vintage and warmed up with all this vintage hardware, which I will also age. And this is going to have parts where you'll see a little bit of that black paint. A lot of it's going to be white. You're going to have a lot of that vintage white left. But then when I get through parts of it where I take the black off, you're going to see the dark wood that's going to be under it, because alder gets a little bit of a kind of a honey look to it when you start cleaning it up and finishing it. And so that with that walnut, I think is going to be pretty sweet color. So that is the unboxing overall so far. This is definitely, every piece of this kit is a step up, if not 2 steps up from other kits that I've gotten. The only little things is just depending on how you plan to finish it. For me, this works great. There is little bits of filler around here and here, and the front and the back look pretty good. The front and the back are really pretty. Look very nice. That's mostly what you're gonna see. And then on the sides, there's definitely some filler, little bits and pieces, mostly on the bottom. I mean on the top here. But for me, I'm painting it. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to show that. If you're trying to do a natural finish, you know, some people care a little bit more about that. Otherwise, the quality of this stuff looks good, fits good. Hardware's all there. Everything they said would be in the box is in the box. And some really convenient little things like, you know, the pre-wired control plate. That's fantastic. Saves you a half an hour to 2 hours, depending on how good you are at soldering. Maybe you're epic at soldering and you're like, it's like a 5-minute solder. That's not me. So that's sweet. So overall first impression, I think this is gonna be a sweet guitar. Yeah. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. That really encourages me to keep making these videos. And thanks for watching, guys. We're gonna do the wood filler. We're gonna clean it up. We're gonna hit it with the walnut. Nice deep stain on this. Gonna clean it up, let it dry. Then I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna hit it with the black. Black. Then I'm gonna hit it, not with this one, with the vintage white. Then, when I get enough coats of that on, I'm gonna wear it off different places. You're gonna see white mostly, then you're gonna see worn off, you're gonna see a little bit of black, you're gonna see a little bit of that dark wood coming through. Gonna look aged. I'm excited about that. Then, the neck, I'm gonna come back, this bad boy, boom, vintage amber. Gonna warm it up. Gonna give it a little bit more aged, a little bit warm look to it. This nitro stuff, man, first time I used it, I was like, I am sure glad I'm wearing a mask.